Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the second episode of the Flyered Up podcast. I'm Amadeo Grassi, your host, along here with Chris May here. And very exciting week going on right here with the Philadelphia Flyers. Training camp just started over a couple days ago. Some big signings. Ivan Provorov signs his contract. Finally, that gets done. But there's still problems with Travis Konecny. He's still not signed. There's a whole big debacle with all of that stuff with Travis Konecny. Doesn't sound like anything is going on right now with Travis Konecny and contract status. Hopefully something gets done within the near future, but right now he is not signed to a contract. The rookie game happened this past Wednesday. Really nice showcasing of the rookies for the Philadelphia Flyers. Gerben Rubstov, Phil Myers, Joel Farabee, Isaac Radcliffe, Morgan Frost. All those guys looked really well. Felix Sandstrom. Very nice game to watch. And just a bunch of other NHL news. Mitch Marner finally signs his contract. So a very, very big news week regarding the NHL and the Philadelphia Flyers. And Chris, what do you think of all this news that just happened over the past few weeks?
I'm just happy it's all done. I was so tired of hearing about, that this guy's going to sign for this much, and they turned it down, and everything like that. Especially with the way Provorov went, where his agent wanted like a certain amount, and then he wanted a certain amount, and they talked about how committed Provorov was, and now it's started where Provorov was more like towards the bottom, and it was more Konecny going to be done first, and now it's changed where Provorov is now done and Konecny is now holding out. So I just can't wait for all this to be over. But I'm happy that most of it is, and especially since now all three of the big defensemen are now signed in McAvoy, Provorov, and Werenski. So
Yeah, it's big news all around. And like we said, Ivan Provorov, he signs his big time contract right now. He signs a 6-year contract worth $40.5 million. And that will be an annual cap hit of $6.75 million a season. And then you tie that with all the bonuses that he gets. In
right.
his first season, he's going to make 6.75 mil. Next
Hmm.
season, he'll make 4.75. Then the following, 7.125. Then 4.716. Then and then 8.5 and an 8.625 in his final year of his contract. So Ivan Provorov making the big bucks so far. And honestly, this is a very, very good contract for the Flyers. Just because for all the news going around with Provorov thinking that he would want around like the 8 to 9 mil range long term. But with that Werenski signing to that bridge deal, it kind of really did set the base for the Flyers. It kind of helped the Flyers actually just to get Provorov signed to a cheaper deal. And I also think it tied into a little bit. Ivan Provorov just wanted to start camp on time and get a contract done with. So I think it was more meeting in the middle. You got the term and you got money. So I think Provorov is happy with it. The Flyers are definitely happy with it. And there's a lot of news. Well, not news technically, just people just on Twitter. Everyone, a lot of people are saying that this contract could possibly be a steal in the next few years, which I definitely agree with. Because you look at all the big time defensemen in the NHL, they're making around $10 to $11 million. Erik Karlsson, one of the highest paid defensemen in the NHL. Drew Doughty. These guys are making like 3.5 to 4 more million than Ivan Provorov. And just think about it. When we drafted Provorov, we expected this guy to be our top defenseman of the future, a guy that can possibly be this Norris Trophy elite type defenseman that'll stick around with us for his entire career. And just imagine what if Provorov gets to that potential in like say a year to 2, 3 years down the road. Just imagine if he's only halfway through this contract and he's at that potential. This is a steal. And also with regards to the cap that's going to constantly go up each and every season, this contract's going to be nothing in compared to when the cap goes up or what all these other elite defensemen are making. It's just, I do believe this contract is going to be a very big steal in the near future. And Chris, like, do you agree with all that, or do you think
I
this is something else?
I definitely agree. I said that in the video I made too. Um, it's definitely a steal with what you said with the cap going up. Wasn't it supposed to go up to like 83 and a half, 84?
Yeah, it was
But
supposed to go up to something like that, but then the whole NHL and their stupid cap debacle, it dropped to 81.5.
yeah, so I like the whole the deal itself because It's a little bit over the money I expected. I said 5 years, 5.5, which I mean that's reasonable, and I think the contract they even gave him was reasonable. It wasn't. It's not an overpay. It's not like um, it's not a bridge deal, but it's giving him the money that now that he has shown. I mean, he's averaged over 20 minutes of ice time in his first 3 years. And I mean, his plus minus has been bad and then was good and then bad because they missed, made, and then missed again for the playoffs. So with if the whole team has a good year, Provorov has a good year. But if the whole team has a bad year, then Provorov has a bad year. And I mean, we saw that last year too. He was real offensive. But I definitely do think this is a good contract. And another thing is it does help out the cap as well, because if now Konecny wants a long term deal, but they don't have the money for a long term deal. But if they gave uh, Provorov, the 8, 9, 10 million that he wanted, they wouldn't have been able to sign Konecny at all. So now at least they're at least able to sign Konecny, but we're gonna have to see what happens.
Yeah, they have something to work with, but the
Definitely,
Konechny situation is just
it's a whole
something,
nother
a
story.
whole nother story that we'll get into in a little bit. But just what you were talking about with the Provorov, the way he plays in his first 3 years in the league, his
Right.
first 2 years were he was thrown right into the position right away.
Hmm.
It's just that with when he was first called up, there was a lot of injuries to certain defensemen, so he was thrown right into that number one spot right away and just took it away.
Hmm.
And his first 2 years were really good. And
Yeah.
just, I know everyone talks about last season the way he struggled, and yes,
Yeah.
he did struggle,
The
but
whole team struggled last
yes, the
season.
entire team
Let's be real
struggled.
here.
Yes, the entire team struggled. We didn't make the playoffs. I would say there probably like maybe one or two guys that didn't struggle last season. That was like Claude Giroux and Sean Couturier,
Right.
possibly Carter Hart, but
Hmm.
the entire team struggled, and I
I
feel like
mean,
a lot of it was thrown on Ivan Provorov, but he's still
right.
young. The kid's
Hmm.
only 22.
Right.
He's going to get better.
And I could see him winning a Norris in the next few years
Yeah, and
with
just
with the way that he plays and everything like that. It's just he looked very good at camp. He wasn't there today, but he did look good at camp.
yeah, it just the whole fact that a lot of these RFAs now are holding out into their training camps, it's a really good sign that Ivan Provorov signs this contract right
Right.
before training camp starts so he can get a whole training camp under his wing. He's shown that he wants to get better. He wants to improve off of last season because he knows he sucked last season.
Right.
So it's really good to see this young kid coming in with his new contract. He doesn't have the expiring contract lingering over his head, which I do also believe that was something that affected his game last season. You're going into a contract year. It's going to be in the back of your head, and you probably want to bring out the best of your abilities, and that can linger in your head and it can affect your play. So I could also believe that's some of the reason why Provorov struggled last season. Now he's got his long-term deal, he's got his money, and now all he has to go out there and play. That's all he has to do is go out on the ice and perform every single night. And nothing will be lingering over his head because he has that first defensive role. He is the number one defenseman on our team, and he's not going to lose it to anyone.
No.
So nothing to worry about right there. All he has to do is just go out there and perform every night. And yeah, I just like we both said, I believe this contract is going to be something like a steal down the road. And Provorov, we all know with just on the Norris Trophy conversation in general, just it's been more, I would say, favoring defensemen who score a ton of points in the NHL. Guys like
Right.
Erik Karlsson, Brett Burns, who can get up to the 70 to 80 point range. I maybe Provorov can get to that range. I'd see more Gostisbehere getting to that higher point total because Gostisbehere is the more fully developed offensive defenseman.
What about Sanheim?
Provorov, oh, maybe Sanheim too, but I think Sanheim's more two-way than Gostisbehere. I
Yeah,
think
that's a good
Gostisbehere is
point.
just the fully developed offensive
Right.
defenseman.
I hope.
Same
I
thing with
really hope he
Provorov.
has a bounce back year.
Yeah, same thing with Provorov. Provorov I see as more a two-way guy, some guy that can jump into the play. He knows how to produce offensively, but
Right.
he knows how to get back defensively. Just
Hmm.
not a stay-at-home defenseman. He's the perfect two-way defenseman, a guy
Hmm.
that can chip in offensively and you can rely on defensively.
And the thing is like, with the way they have the defense, like Matt Niskanen, stay-at-home defenseman, Justin Braun, stay-at-home defenseman. They had Gostisbehere with Braun, and they had Provorov with Niskanen. That leaves you with Sanheim with Myers. Myers is a physical defenseman. I mean, I wouldn't say he's stay at home, but he is definitely puck moving two way. And Sanheim is an offensive defenseman. So those are your lines right there.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that's one of the best third pairs in the league. I mean, you have Sanheim with the year he had last year on the third pair. Wow, that's crazy. And another thing is if you look at the Provorov thing, he was here all summer too. He was in Philly. He trained here. He practiced all that stuff. Konecny, he was in Canada all summer. So that's another reason why why Konecny's taking this long too. And I feel like Alain Vigneault is just going to scare him.
Yeah. Vigneault has been scaring him this entire week. Oh
Definitely.
my god. This dude, I love Alain Vigneault, but I don't like the way that him and the front office are treating this entire situation. Yeah, I get that you want Konechny there, and and Alain Vigneault's also stated that he wants these guys to make the money that they want, but he also wants them at training camp. But I
Well, I mean,
don't like the way the Flyers are handling this situation with Konechny. I just don't.
I don't know. I mean, there really isn't much they can do, honestly. They just have to wait and see what happens because they they just don't have the money for what he wants. And he's
But
gonna have to sign because there are guys in this camp that can take his spot. There's no doubt about that. There are
but
people that can take his spot.
isn't that also on the Flyers' perspective just to give Konechny well, not with just to hand it to him. Like I know there's like two arguments on both sides because I've heard the Flyers' argument is that Konechny doesn't get enough ice time to factor into why he shouldn't make the money that he
Yeah, he's a
technically
15
wants.
minute guy, and he probably wants something around a Provorov contract.
But the counter argument from Konechny's side is he's been one of the more productive guys on the team since he's been in the league.
He is horrible defensively, though.
Yeah, but points, goals, they factor into that as well. I think in the past 2 seasons, Konechny is tied with guys like Sidney Crosby for most 5-on-5 goals, and I think it's like around
Yeah,
50 something.
that is
And
true.
Konechny's been a consistent 20 goal scorer for the past 2 seasons, so he
Hmm.
has an argument on his side to make a few bucks here, but
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
I think he's pushing it a little bit.
Yeah, he might be pushing it a little bit, but he has the argument. I don't think the Flyers' argument is right that you should judge someone because of their ice time. And
Mhm.
this kid is still producing regardless of his ice time. He's being flip-flopped around the lineup with Dave Hackstall's dumb system. He's been constantly on the third line, second line, first line, not finding a consistent
He was
role.
on the first line majority of last year.
He was on the first line, but then when Scott Gorin comes in, they would sometimes flip flop him a little bit when he wouldn't like
Yeah.
score for one game.
Hmm.
But he still found a way to produce offensively when being flip flopped throughout the lineup. So he has the argument on the side to make money.
Yeah.
And I just don't like the Flyers argument whatsoever. I just don't.
Yeah.
I just don't agree with like I can understand like you got like Konechny wants long term. This is the news that's always been breaking out. He wants long term. I get that. And the
Hmm.
Flyers might not want to go that long term because they don't have the cap space to pay a long term contract.
Right.
And but
But
do you
like,
want to go through a bridge deal and then have to go through this whole nonsense 3 years down the line?
well, how do you know it's going to be the same thing 3 years down the line? Because they say, I'm not saying this could be, but say they're a Stanley Cup winning team. Why would he hold out of that? He's obviously going to be better in a few years. And the thing is, in the next few years, they're going to have cap space because if say you give him a bridge deal, a 3 year deal, in 2 years Niskanen's deal ends, and at the end of the season Braun's deal ends. That's 5.8 and 3.8, and then you get $1 million from McDonald and you get $1 million from Gudis. So I mean that's a lot of cap space there too, which I mean I'm sure they're going to spend some of it. It doesn't mean they're going to get all of it. You know what I mean? But it's not like they have the pieces now that they can win, and if they can get Konechny done with the little cap space they have, they should be fine. I don't see them not being a good at least a better team this year.
Well, yeah, definitely under Alain Vigneault's whole system. I think the Flyers are going to be a much better team. But I
Right.
think losing Konechny, that's a major hole in the lineup.
It's gonna hurt. I know. It's definitely gonna hurt.
And that's the reason why I'm afraid Konechny is going to hold out until the season,
I don't
just
think he
because
is. I don't. I really
that
don't.
that's what I'm afraid of. I'm
Yeah.
afraid he's going to hold out until the season until he gets a contract that he wants.
Mhm.
And like you said, the Flyers only have like around 6.5 to 6.7 mil left in
Yeah,
the
it's
cap space,
it's 6.7.
and it's just scary to see like how much does Konechny actually want if he wants a long-term deal. It's just
I mean, it has to
also
be something around Provorov, doesn't it?
I
I can't see him wanting 8 million, 7 million.
I don't think it's around that range.
It's got
I
to be
think
around Provorov.
it would have to be around Provorov, but I don't think Chuck Fletcher wants to pay another guy that money.
Right. He probably didn't even want to pay Provorov that money.
I think he was fine paying Provorov that money just because
Yeah, true.
Provorov wanted
Yeah.
around the 8, probably the 9 mil range.
Yeah, and if
But
they
now
didn't sign
that with
Provorov, that would have been bad.
but now with the whole Werenski signing, when he get to that bridge deal for 5 mil per
Mhm.
season, I guess that set the base to say, okay, we can start at 5 mil and then work up from there. Okay, so you want around like what, say like 8 to 9? Let's try to meet in the middle. So I
Mhm.
guess around the six something that Provorov is making per season, that was meeting in the middle. And I
Right.
think Provorov was absolutely fine with that. He just wanted to start training camp on time.
Yeah.
And like you said, he's been in Philly, he's been in South Jersey training most of the offseason. He wants to play here. He wants to start the season on time. And
Mhm.
now that you're saying Travis Konecny has been in Canada basically the entire offseason,
Mhm.
him not being here can also show a sign of a problem.
Yeah,
Because
that is true. And that was something that Sam brought up when I talked to him.
oh yeah, I forgot that you said you talked to Sam Carchidi. Like, why don't you bring that up a little bit?
He all right, so I don't know if you guys saw my channel, but I did a video with Sam. So yesterday, Saturday the 14th, him and Lou Nolan were doing book signings from around like 10:45 to like 1 o'clock at training camp, and I was there all day. So I went out, I was talking to them, I was talking to Lou Nolan, and me and Sam started talking. And then I had a question I wanted to ask them, so I was about to go outside with my dad because I think we were gonna go get something to eat. And I went back inside, asked him about Konechny. Like I asked him about what money he thinks he should get. He said he should get around 4.2 for a bridge deal, but they don't have and that they don't have enough cap space for a long term. And he said that he was the one who told me that Konechny wants a long term. And obviously he wants it and Flyers don't. And he said that he would be surprised if Konecny is not here by the first exhibition game, so October 4th. Um, and that he said he was surprised that Provorov signed before Konechny.
Yeah, it's some interesting stuff. Was it only talking about Konechny, or did you guys talk about anything else?
We brought up so in the video I asked if Konechny doesn't sign, who do you think will take his spot? That was the first question. Then I asked how do I think Carter Hart is going to be in his second year? And I asked how does he think the coaches have done in these last 2 days of training camp? And let me tell you, that was like no training camp I've ever seen. I mean, I've been a fan. This will be my 7th year watching the Flyers, and I'm sure Dave Haxtell was kind of just like a guy, didn't say much. I mean, Alain Vigneault, he's loud. You can hear him. It's a lot of skating, and it's really fast paced too. I really did enjoy it. It was kind of, I mean, the other ones were kind of boring with Axtell. There wasn't much going on. They were kind of just skating around. I mean, like they did drills and everything like every other practice, but I mean, he really pushed them, and that's something I like to see too.
Yeah, that's something drastically that we need to see. Dave Haxtell, he was a non-experienced head coach, and this is what an experienced NHL head coach will do in training camp:
Right.
get the guys moving early.
Hmm.
And it's not like
Get their
back
legs
in
moving.
yeah, it's not like back in the 70s where guys would come into training camp out of shape. No, guys are coming into training camp nowadays in shape, ready to
Right.
go. So Alain Vigneault, he's going to push them till every last second.
Right.
And that's what I want to see. And a lot of people are saying that the locker room, the atmosphere feels a lot different than compared to what, say, Dave Haxtell. And
Well, he
that
didn't say
shows some,
much.
yeah, that shows some promise. And I always loved Alain Vigneault as a head coach. He's vocal and
Hmm.
he's just an outstanding head coach. Yeah,
Right.
sadly he doesn't have that Stanley Cup to his resume, but
He was close.
he was very close twice, one with Vancouver, one with the New York Rangers. And he's been nominated for coach of the year. I'm not sure in fact that he has won the Jack Adams award yet,
I
but
don't
he
think
has
he
been
did.
nominated. for the Jack Adams Award.
That was
And
around when he took the Rangers, right?
yes, I think that's when the Rangers won the President's Trophy. I think he was nominated for the Jack Adams Award.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he's had teams that won the President's Trophy year in and year out. He's won a President's Trophy with Vancouver. He's won one with the New York Rangers. So the dude knows how to win. He just needs that Stanley Cup. And that's where people will criticize him because he hasn't won the Stanley Cup.
That's not all his fault.
Yeah, it's
that was a bad Game 7, and LA was just a good team at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, no one was going to beat LA that year.
Yeah, Vancouver.
You had Quick. They had their defense. They had all solid offense throughout that whole lineup.
Yeah,
they were just too good.
Yeah, LA was just a good team. They won the Stanley Cup 2 years before that, and just Vancouver. That whole series was just a gigantic mess. Roberto Luongo, Corey Schneider just flip-flopping. Luongo sucked when they played in Boston, and then there's the whole argument saying that Corey Schneider should have been the guy that started on the road, and just that series was a whole mess and a half for the Vancouver.
He gave up like 4 goals in the first period of like Game 3, and then it was just over.
Yeah. And Vancouver had a 3-2 lead going into Game 6, and Roberto
and a 2-0 lead.
The team choked.
Right.
Just say that the team choked, and Roberto Luongo choked.
Mm-hmm.
So, I won't put all the blame on Alain Vigneault. Yeah, some blame's going to go on him, but not all the blame goes to the head coach.
Right.
So, the atmosphere that he's bringing here, it's a winning atmosphere, and I think the players are going to benefit from that. And Alain Vigneault has been very, very good at getting the team very successful in his first season as a head coach. He brought the Rangers to the finals in his first season as a head coach there. So, not saying anything, but who knows? Maybe the Flyers might make the finals. And that's definitely not going to happen.
Nah, no way.
That is not going to happen in any way possible. So, going back to Travis Konecny with Alain Vigneault, like we were talking about that, Alain Vigneault might scare Travis Konecny into losing his spot in the lineup. It's very interesting.
I think he will.
We've seen line combinations of Claude Giroux, Sean Couturier, and Joel Farabee. And a lot of people are saying Joel Farabee is standing out in training camp. The kid looks very good. And Claude Giroux and Sean Couturier have nothing but compliments for the kid. He looks like a pro out there. And he looks like he fits in.
He's got the body of a pro. I know that.
And this is something that can get Flyers fans' hopes up, because when was the last time we had this much hype for rookies coming into a season? Yeah, we had Nolan Patrick, who was a second overall pick.
Right.
But this much hype for this many rookies.
We didn't have that hype for Provorov. We didn't have it for Rubtsov. I mean, we definitely didn't have it for Cam York. We didn't have it for... It's been a while. I'd say close to around maybe Van Riemsdyk.
Yeah, maybe Van Riemsdyk. Yeah, there was hype for Provorov and Konecny coming into the season, but the possibility of a guy actually coming in and maybe lighting up the league. So what if Joel Farabee does steal that spot, quote, from Travis Konecny, and he plays on the first line? This is just all hypothetical right here. So not saying this is actually going to happen, but say if he does, and he stands out on that first line with Sean Couturier and Claude Giroux, that'll be something. I just want to. That's just something amazing. I would love
to have tomorrow night. There was a line that's supposed to have Hayes with Frost and someone else.
Oh yeah, where we're talking about the preseason game that starts tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's gonna be something very fun right there.
That's Group B that'll be playing. So Group B, from training camp, it was some vets, not all. Michael Raffle, Andy Andreoff, Sean Couturier, Scott Lawton. Actually, wait, no, sorry. That's Group B. Group A, that was Kevin Hayes, Lindblom, Vorobiev, Van Riemsdyk, Chris Stewart, Morgan Frost, Joel Farabee, German Rubtsov, Chris Coolio, Maxim Shushko, Isaac Ratcliffe, Jacob Voracek. On defense, you got Walensky, Myers, Bigris, Gostisbehere, Zamula, Morin, Braun, and Mason Millman. And then goalies, you got Alex Lyon and Brian Elliott. And I think Elliott was supposed to start that game.
Yes, it's been confirmed that Brian Elliott's going to start the first preseason game of the season. And there's also been, Alain Vigneault's already said that players like Claude Giroux, Sean Couturier, they're not going to start the first 2 preseason games.
Yeah.
You'll probably see them around Wednesday when they play at home.
Right.
So don't expect Claude Giroux or Sean Couturier to play the first 2 games. Yeah. So You get
Most
you,
likely around Wednesday or Saturday, the home
yeah,
games.
you'll most likely see more of the young guys playing in these first two games. You probably won't see Carter Hart for another couple games here on out. You'll probably see like with Brian Elliott and Alex Line. You'll probably see Felix Sandstrom for one game, maybe JF Berube. So you probably won't see Carter Hart maybe for a game or two. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting preseason too.
I'm
And
excited for
before
it.
before we get into the preseason, let's pause for a little bit for a word from our sponsor.
Hi, I'm Mark, and I'm one of the hosts of Massive Late Fee. Do you remember Blockbuster? Well, we do, and we racked up a lot of late fees there. That's why we're glad there's things like Netflix, Hulu, and Blockbuster has died, mostly because of us. We cover streaming shows and pretty much whatever we want. Join us every Thursday as we talk TV and movies on Massive Late Fee. You can find us at Massive Late Fee on Twitter, Massive Late Fee on Facebook. You can email the show at massivelatefee@gmail.com, and you can find us at MySpace, Massive Late Fee. Massive Late Fee, the best podcast we can think of.
And welcome back to the podcast. And we were talking about earlier, the rookie game was in fact this past Wednesday, and it was an impressive rookie showcase for the Philadelphia Flyers. There was a plethora of rookies, the standout stars from Joel Farabee, Morgan Frost, Isaac Ratcliffe, German Rubstov actually. It's just German Rubstov scored 2 goals in that game. And I think what we said in the previous podcast, we expect German Rubstov to maybe be that sort of underdog rookie to maybe stand out because the dude was a first overall pick for not first overall, he was a first round pick for a reason. The Flyers picked him in around the 20th spot for a reason. The guy has skill. He has speed to his game. He plays a nice two-way game, chipping offensively, very good defensively, and he scored 2 goals in this game. One was from a one-timer, one was from a deflection. Just overall, really good game for Gerben Rubstov. Then you also got goals chipping in from David Casey, Sean Comrie, but the Flyers do eventually lose in this rookie game to New York Islanders. They lose 5-4 in a shootout. And like I said, players that stood out in this game, Joel Farabee, Isaac Ratcliffe, Morgan Frost, that line from the Philadelphia Flyers, those guys were really good on the ice. Really, really good. They were just showcasing skill. Like the only thing that just didn't happen for them was the puck going into the net. And also players like Phil Myers was in this rookie game. He set up Gerben Rubstov for his first goal. It was a really nice play. Myers was holding onto the puck by the blue line, brought it up, then tossed it over to Gerben Rubstov, who just put it in back of the net. So Phil Myers looked really good in that game. Felix Sandstrom really stood on his head in this game. He saved 24 out of 25 shots, and Sandstrom was just looking really good, and he's one of our top goalie prospects for a reason. He really stood out. I remember that one game back, I think it was one of the World Junior games, it was him versus Hart versus Sweden versus Canada. I remember that game very well. It was just those two dueling it out. And Sandstrom stood on his head in that game as well. And Sandstrom proved in this game why he's one of our top goaltender prospects. And then you get Ustamenko that comes in later in this game, like halfway through. He allows a goal in his first shot. He looks very shaky in the beginning, allows a couple goals to the Islanders. But then as the Islanders do start to pile it on in the third period, he does start to gain his ground. He does start to get better. Flyers really can't find a way to get the lead back. So it does end up going tied into overtime. We do go into a shootout, and Joel Farabee, Morgan Frost, also Gerben Rubstov, they were denied in the skills competition, as I would like to call it. And it's very Flyers fashion to lose in a shootout in the rookie game because the Flyers are just a big fan of the shootout. I don't know why.
I love the shootout. It's great, isn't it?
No, it's not. No, it is not. The Flyers have sucked in the shootout for as long as I can remember, as it was instated into the NHL after the first lockout. Ugh, they've sucked ever since it was been brought into the NHL.
I hate the shootout.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
That was sarcasm, by the way.
Yes, I could tell. And just going off of the shootout topic, just the rookies that stood out in this game. I loved what I saw from the rookies. Doesn't really matter that they lost the game. It's a stupid exhibition game. No one really cares.
It's a scrimmage. It's really what it is.
Yeah, no one cares. All it really matters is that the players who you want to see stand out, they stood out. That first line
you want to win.
Stood out.
It's not like they're going to go in there and lose, but I mean, you want to win.
Yeah,
there were a lot of guys that played good.
Yeah, a lot of guys played good. And Chris, what were your thoughts mainly on this rookie game?
I thought a lot of guys, as I just said, a lot of guys did play good. Sandstrom, Myers, he was really physical. He was great on the penalty kill. Rubtsov played well. He was good in his own end. Vorbiev, he was actually really solid on the penalty kill. He took a lot of penalties in that third period. He was real solid. There wasn't much defense in front of Ustimenko. The first goal that he let up, he got completely screened. There was no way that would have went in. And the second goal, he was kind of just like, it was a power play, and no one covered him, and he just shot it or went right in. I'm sorry, the third goal. And the fourth goal, it was kind of just like loose in front. No one really saw it, and he just shot it and it scored, and it was tied. The Islanders did put on a lot of pressure in that fourth period, and that the overtime was actually pretty good too, because the Flyers had a lot of chances in that overtime. Farabee had a breakaway. They had a few chances. Farabee and Myers had a 2-on-1, which they missed a pass. And then late, with around like 3 seconds left, the Islanders had a chance to win the game, and Ustimenko completely robbed. I don't know who it was, but there was a real big save late. And then the shootout, Frost went in. He actually hit the inside of the post on that shootout, so that was pretty close to going in.
Just riding up there.
Yeah, Farabee put on a nice move. If he shot that a little towards the middle of his 5-hole, that would have went right in. It was a good move though. And then Wahlstrom went in for the Islanders, and he was so slow with it too. He was like, he kind of went in like TJ Oshie, just real quick shot and just bang. I was like, as soon as I saw him going that slow, I was like, he's gonna score here. Always happens against the Flyers. Whoever goes real slow, they score. And then Rubtsov had a good chance too, but he missed.
Yeah, it's always the people that want to take their time. They're going to score right away.
Right.
And yeah, just like we said, it's a very nice showcase from the rookies in this game. And then following a few days later, the actual training camp opens up. Thank God Provorov signed, so we get to start on time early. Well, not early, but he starts on time. Mm-hmm. And then, but there's also a little bit of scary news regarding the Flyers. Nolan Patrick, he apparently suffered an upper body injury, even though he's been skating the past 2 weeks. This was just very out of the blue with Nolan Patrick, and Chuck Fletcher stated that he's going to be week to week. So, very unknown injury. It's always weird with hockey injuries. It's always either upper body or lower body. There's never
there's never in the middle.
Nothing distinguished.
Right.
It's never fully revealed. It's always going to be upper body, lower body, but right. And I saw Nolan Patrick skating on Twitter today. He looked pretty fine, so I have no idea what the hell's wrong with him, but he's still considered week to week. And I know, Chris, you've been to training camp this past few days where I have not been. So what have you seen from training camp over this weekend? It's probably more different, I would say, in the past few training camps.
It was very different. I'll get to that in a minute of how it was ran. But they had 3 separate groups, Group A, B, C. Group C was mostly like AHL guys, guys you'd see in the rookie game, Sean Comrie, David Case, guys like that. Group B, there was a lot of, it was mostly veterans, Hayes, Justin Braun, Lindblom, Sanheim, Gostisbehere, and Riemsdyk. You had Carter Hart and Alex Lyon, and then in Group A, you had, Drew, Niskanen, Provorov, Couturier, Frost, Farabee, guys like that. So I thought all groups were good. There wasn't much out of Group C. It was it was mostly the AHL team. Scott Gordon was on the ice, and then Alain Vigneault was on for Group B and A. So out of Group C, I thought Sandstrom looked pretty good. He was solid on his rebound control. He didn't let up a lot of goals. He was big in the net too. Group B was pretty good. I saw a lot of good things on the one-on-one plays. Myers was also in Group B. He was really good, real physical. And then in Group A, you had Ratcliffe. All right, I'm going to describe this. It was Ratcliffe and Morin on a one-on-one drill. So they started from the one end, and they had to skate down, and the defenseman, so Morin, was kind of up a little bit more from Ratcliffe. So Ratcliffe kind of comes in, he's kind of leading to the boards, and all you hear is this loud bang. And Morin and Ratcliffe both hit the glass. He rammed into him, and he hit. It was so loud. Like my girlfriend, she was with me. She was like, how many pounds do you think just hit that glass? I was like, it's got to be close to like maybe 400, 450. It was so loud. But I thought Sam Warren looked well too. Especially he's battled injury his whole career, but he looked really good. I thought Hayes was good too. He's got a good shot. He's real physical. And yeah, that's about it. But I did talk to Sam Garchidi, so that was also really cool. And yeah, I had a great time at camp. So I'm real excited to see what these guys can do in the start of the preseason. So yeah, I had a good weekend.
So going back to training camp, like we said earlier, that Joel Farabee is getting the chance to skate with Sean Couturier and Claude Drew on the same line. Like, what have you seen from Joel Farabee on that top pairing that you think possibly maybe he has the chance to steal that spot?
Farabee looked real solid. He was quick to the puck. He knew what he was doing. He looked like he was a veteran, honestly. He was real solid. He played good. He definitely did gel well with them too. I thought Couturier played. He was great with Drew like usual because they've played on the same line together for the last 2 seasons.
Yep.
Yeah, so that line played well. I thought Frost played good too. He looked real. He looked like he knew what he was doing out there. I mean, they don't really look like rookies anymore, honestly.
Who do you think looks better out of the two, Joel Farabee or Morgan Frost? Who do you think looks better?
Oh, Farabee, definitely.
So would you think that Farabee has more of the chance to steal the NHL spot over Morgan Frost, or do you think both of them, I would say, have equal chances?
Mm, I think I'd have to I honestly I think they both have a really good chance. I mean, Frost played good. He put some weight on in the summer too, so I think they're kind of around the same, like body wise. I think they're around like the same. But I can see both of them making it.
Yeah, and it's also funny that we bring this up because what if Travis Konecny is still not here by the season starts? That's technically possibly two spots that are open.
Right.
So what if both of them
Maybe
steal
three,
spots?
because they could have that fourth line too, and then the
True.
third line and that first line.
True.
Well, I'm not saying they're going to play on the first line, but Konecny usually plays on the first line.
Yeah, and Alain Vigneault said that with the rookies right here, he knows how talented the rookies are. It's all about giving them the chance and
Right.
giving them let them showcase what they're able to do, and he's letting them do that in training camp with these pairings with Joel Farabee, with Sean Couturier and Claude Giroux. And there's also this interesting little quote here from Alain Vigneault. It's from Jordan Hall talking about Nolan Patrick, and the tweet says that Nolan Patrick has been in meetings and has been skating. Alain Vigneault said he's not as far as behind as someone who's, quote, not physically here, end quote. So he's kind of throwing a little shade there at Travis Konecny, kind of trolling him a little bit. And Alain Vigneault has stated that he's very disappointed that Travis Konecny's not in camp, which I don't blame the guy because he's a guy that's on your top line. He's one of the best players on the team. And also the fact that you have a new coaching staff in training camp, he's not there to learn the new ways.
Right.
It's not like you have Dave Haxtell still there and he's somewhat familiar with everything. So if Travis Konecny does hold out, he's going to be way far behind in this new system.
He is.
And that's what I'm afraid of. Just imagine with William Nylander, look how long he held out. Even though he was still under Toronto, that same system, he still struggled going into when he signed that contract.
Yeah, because really he just wasn't used to it. I mean, it's different when you go from practices and stuff to playing a full NHL game. I mean, I'm sure his legs weren't used to it. His body wasn't used to it too. It was forever. He waited till what? January, December.
He waited till the very last minute. I think the last minute you can negotiate a contract is till like December, and if you pass that, you're not allowed to play the rest of the season.
Right.
So I think he signed it at the very last second.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of things that were different with the camp too. It was fast paced. It wasn't like it was these last few years where you had like it was kind of just the same things all the time. I mean, it was the same drills. They were doing the 1-on-1 drill that I talked about, and then they had like kind of like a 5-on-5 breakout, and then they would do like a little 5-on-5, like a really short scrimmage, I guess you could say. And then they did suicides. They were skating. A lot of it was skating. And another thing is Alain Vigneault, he's a loud coach. Like you can hear him like when you sit on the bleachers and stuff like that. Like he's loud. And I like that. That's good to see because that's something we haven't seen in a while. And it's not like he's gonna be quiet in the locker room. If he's loud on the ice, he's obviously gonna be loud in the locker room too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's not like you're gonna go into the locker room and the guys are gonna come back out like they're up 3-2 and really they're down like 5-1. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be coming out. They're gonna be aggressive. They're gonna win the 50-50 pucks. They're gonna do all that stuff. So I'm very excited to see what the coaching staff can do, and I'm also excited for the assistant coaches because that the whole special teams and the way they improved with the Maiko and Michelle Therrien, that's going to be good to see.
Yeah, special teams are going to look a lot different. And just going into the start of preseason. Preseason starts tomorrow. Hockey season is creeping up very close as preseason starts tomorrow for the Philadelphia Flyers. They face off once again against the damn New York Islanders. I don't know what's with preseason and us facing. I have no problem with it, but it just feels like we're facing the Islanders so many times.
The rookie game the last 3 years has been the Islanders.
Yeah, and now we start off the preseason against the New York Islanders.
They
and
play
Bill
like 4
Meltzer,
games against them, don't they?
I think so. I think the Monday they played the New York Islanders, and Tuesday they play against the Islanders on the road.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a very long stretch of New York Islanders.
Remember when they used to play Toronto in the preseason?
Yeah, remember when we played fun teams?
Yeah, really. I mean,
yeah,
and then they got the Rangers, they got the Bruins, and then they got that game in Sweden.
Yeah, they do have the game in Sweden too.
Mm-hmm.
They do.
That's gonna be good to see.
Yeah,
and then you got, well, honestly, wait, this is a good question. Who do you think starts that game in Sweden?
In Sweden?
Yeah, that as a goal.
I think it'll be Carter Hart.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because it's usually the last game of preseason is basically going to be what your lineup looks like through the regular season. So I feel like that game is going to be the Flyers' actual lineup going into the regular season. Mm-hmm. Hoping that Travis Konecny is signed at that point, which I don't think he's going to be. But who knows? I can hope. And very cool news that Bill Meltzer released the possible lineups for tomorrow's game against the New York Islanders at home. The first line looks like it's going to be James Van Riemsdyk, Kevin Hayes centering with Jake Voracek on the other wing. Second line will consist of Oscar Lindblom, German Rubstov, and Chris Stewart. Third line will be the great line that everyone is going to hope to see. Isaac Radcliffe, Morgan Frost, Joel Farabee. That's something that's going to be very fun to watch tomorrow. And then the fourth line will roll out with Shushko, Vorobiev, and Chris Coolio. And then your defenseman, the top pair will be Shane Gostisbehere, then Braun, and then it has a question mark with Zamula. There's also like a whole speculation that Bigris might play tomorrow, but not sure yet. Right now, the speculation it's going to be Igor Zamola with Phil Myers, and then you got Sam Morin with Walensky wrapping up the defensive pairs, and then like we said earlier, Brian Elliott's going to start tomorrow with Alan Lyon coming in midway through the game. So it's going to be a very fun game tomorrow. I am going to that game. First preseason game, you get to see all the new renovations with the Wells Fargo Center. You get to see the brand new scoreboard. Oh, I can't wait to see that. That's going to be something very fun to see. And then you get to see the center ice logo. That's just the one logo now. It's the Wells Fargo Center is going to be a very fun new sightseeing place to see. That sounded very weird out of my mouth, but I said it regardless. I don't care. Yeah. And just, are you going to any preseason games, Chris, down the line, or?
I'll be there the 21st against the Rangers.
Yeah, and I'll be there hopefully every preseason game regarding Temple. Thanks, Temple, with work, but I'll try to be there every preseason game. But yeah, it's gonna be a very fun preseason. You get to see all these young guys. And I know everyone's going to be dying to see Gritty. They're going to be dying to see the line of Frost, Farabee, and Ratcliffe. All the new renovations with the Wells Fargo Center. It's going to be a very fun time at the Wells Fargo Center tomorrow night. Just the first time in a while seeing Flyers hockey. The fans are going to be pumped. Just going to be a very fun sight to see. And as we get into the last few segment of our show, we're going to talk about some interesting news that's happened over the NHL in the course of the last couple of days. The biggest news. Mitch Marner finally signs his damn contract. He signs to a 6-year deal with a very specific $10.893 million a season. Very, very specific. But the wait is finally over. He's not going to hold out. He's going to start training camp on time for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And right now, all is happy with the world, but you still got a ton of other damn free RFAs that still have to be signed. But it's good to see that Mitch Marner finally, I guess, broke the plane here, and maybe that opens up other opportunities for other RFAs to sign. But I don't know, at the rate the RFAs are right now, Patrick Laine, Kyle Connor, Mikko Rantanen's still not signed yet. I don't know what's going to happen down the line. And Chris, just what do you think of what's going to happen with these RFAs now that Mitch Marner's signed?
I don't know. I mean, you have McAvoy signing that was 3 years, 4.9. So they give him literally the exact same deal that Werenski got.
Yeah, that rounds out all the defensemen, but you're left with the forwards, who are most likely going to make more money.
Mm-hmm. And then Jared Spurgeon signed too. Was he a RFA or no?
No, he was not an RFA. He was
so
a
that was an
pending
extension.
UFA. Yes, that was an extension for Jared Spurgeon.
Okay,
He
so
signs
kind
with
of like Clayton Keller.
Yeah, he signs with the Minnesota Wild for a 7-year deal worth $53.025 million in total. So it's a big, nice contract extension for Jared Spurgeon of the Minnesota Wild. But back to the RFAs. And just the RFAs that are left, it's all wingers at this point.
Right.
You got Mikko Rantanen of the Colorado Avalanche.
But they have a lot of cap space.
Yes, they do have a lot of cap space.
They have like $15 million, don't they?
Yeah, I think so, but I don't know what's going on with the negotiations with Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah, they get $15 million in cap space.
Yes.
And so does Winnipeg.
And then you get Braden Point of the Tampa Bay Lightning, who was offered a laughable. Wasn't he offered like $5 million a season?
It was 3 years, 5.7, so a bridge deal.
That is laughable.
Yeah.
And Braden Point, who scored 90-plus points last season, he doesn't want that kind of money. I know Tampa Bay is tight on cap space, but the guy doesn't deserve that type of money.
They only have $8 million in cap space, so that's really the most that they're. I mean, I can maybe see them giving them like 7, but that leads them to no good. So I guess 5.7 was they had to meet somewhere because they need the money. So who else did you say? It was Connor.
It's Mikko Rantanen, Braden Point of Tampa Bay, Patrick Laine from Winnipeg, Matthew Tkachuk from Calgary, Brock Besser from the Vancouver Canucks, Kyle Connor from Winnipeg, and good old Travis Konecny of the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah,
those are the RFAs that are left.
Calgary has $7 million. Flyers have 6.7. Winnipeg is 15. Colorado has 15. I don't understand why these guys are holding out. It doesn't make sense. Why would you want to miss training camp?
Apparently, the money right now matters to them, and they want to make their money now.
Yeah.
And it's good seeing that Ivan Provorov finally decided to sign, and he's here for 6 years, so you don't have to worry about a bridge deal going through this damn process again in another 3 years. He's here for 6 years, and then he'll earn his money when he gets to that end of his contract. So he's not going to be worrying about money for the next 6 years. He's getting paid, and then if he gets to that potential we were talking about earlier, he'll make more money in the near future. But with these guys right now, I could see the arguments that they're possibly making. Mikko Rantanen had a really breakout year with Colorado last year. Braden Point was on a stacked Tampa Bay team regardless, but he scored 90+. Patrick Laine, he's an up-and-coming goal scorer. He could be a 50+ goal scorer in this league. He really struggled at the end of the season last year, but he's still making that argument that he should get paid. But then there's all these trade rumors that are swirling around Patrick Laine and guys like Kyle Connor too. So we really don't know what's going to happen with those two. Matthew Tkachuk, really haven't heard anything from his standpoint with Calgary. We all know that Calgary made that bad contract flip-flop with Edmonton for Milan Lucic and James Neal. So maybe that's factoring into it a little bit. Brock Besser, really no rumors on him whatsoever. Same thing with Kyle Connor, and nothing going on with Travis Konecny because the Flyers and Travis Konecny are nowhere close to a deal at this point.
Nowhere.
And who do you think out of just all these RFAs, who do you think is going to crack first after Mitch Marner?
I could see Connor or Laine. I mean, they're the teams that have the most cap space. Winnipeg is $15 million. Vancouver only has $4 million, and Besser's not going to want $4 million.
I beg to differ. With Brock Besser.
I don't know. How much would you give him?
He's a guy that proved that he can be a goal scorer in this league. I would say it's probably gonna be around the bridge deal. It's probably maybe the same thing that Werenski's making. Maybe that 3 year, $5 million.
They only have 4.2.
They only have 4.2.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be tough for Vancouver though. But
right.
So I could see Brock Besser holding out for a little bit.
Yeah.
Colorado, I have no idea what's taking them that long with Rantanen.
I think that's term. That's what I think that is.
It's term. You think
it has to be because they have. Why would he want to hold out with money? They have the cap space.
Yeah, it's like one of those arguments that's saying that rookies, these young guys these days, they don't want the long-term contracts. They want short-term but big money. Hence what Mitch Marner got. He got
Right.
he didn't get technically a long term, but it's 6 years, so it's longer than the Matthews contract, but he's making less than Matthews. So he got
'cause
kind of
Matthews
long term
makes.
and kind of the money he got. But I'm sure that's not the money he actually wanted,
Mm,
Mitch Marner.
he want 11.5 because that's what Matthews is making.
He wanted a round to more than what Matthews was making at the
Mhm.
same term.
Right.
So Matthews got that 5 to 6 year deal at 11.5 mil. I think Marner wanted around that. But
Yeah.
and then
That's.
with other guys, Tampa Bay, Braden Point, I have no idea how they're going to sign him to
I
what
don't
he
either.
wants.
That's a big hole for them too.
Patrick Laine, Kyle Connor. I know Winnipeg has the cap space, but to sign both of those guys, it's going to be very difficult because they probably
Because
both
Laine's
want
gonna
money,
want most of 6-7 million.
basically.
And I'm sure Connor wants around the same thing.
And do you think one of these guys is going to get traded, or even the possibility of an offer sheet? Because I know those
There was a
have been-
rumor that Laine and Connor both went to Montreal for Tatar, Suzuki, and a second round pick, but it was fake. And one, that's a horrible trade. And two, they're not just going to trade two of their restricted
RFAs.
free agents like that, especially because they're barely getting anything back.
Yeah, I remember when you told me that deal. I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
I was like, "That's fake right off the bat."
yeah, I was like, I'm thinking to myself, there's no way that's real.
Because I think this was in the height when Provorov signed his contract, and also Mitch Marner too.
It was like I saw it 10 minutes after Provorov signed on Friday, and it was like, oh, I was like, oh, what? I was like, I'm like, oh yes, they signed Provorov. I was telling my dad, and I'm on Instagram and I'm looking through and I see, it was like a Sportsnet thing, and it said, breaking news, Winnipeg trades Laine and Connor. I'm like, what? I was like, why would they do that? But I don't know how they're gonna get that done. The thing is, it's either it's term or money, because if you look at the cap, we said Winnipeg has 15 million, but both of them probably won around 6.5, 7, anywhere along those lines. That's 12. Say you give them both, that's 12, and that's 14. And especially because they just gave Morrissey so much money too.
Yeah, wasn't it like a 8-year contract, 50
Yeah,
or something
it was like
that?
56 million.
Jesus, and just like when you got Patrick Laine and Kyle Connor staring at a guy on your team getting signed to that much money, it's just like, where's my money? Where's my contract? It's just they're just sitting there waiting for something to happen, and it's not happening. It's either that they're nowhere close to a deal, or it's that they have agreed to what they want, and money-wise, they can't agree on the term.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's happening with a lot of RFAs right now. I feel like most of them are fine with the money they're getting. It's the term.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys don't want to commit to long-term deals. They want to be able to control their own future when their contract expires, regardless if it's a bridge deal or if it's UFA status. That's why I think the Provorov deal right now, it's perfect, because him nor the team have to worry about any contract negotiations for another 6 years. He's going to be turning 28 when his contract expires, so it's a long time coming for Provorov. So
and the contract is in his prime.
And the contract is going to end in his prime to where he can make more money. And that's...
You think there's any argument that it can still be in his prime by the time it's over?
Yeah.
Because
I would definitely agree.
I don't understand why people think when players hit their 30s, they're horrible. Because obviously Ovechkin isn't horrible. Crosby's not horrible. Giroux isn't horrible. You know what I mean?
Your prime
Niskanen is not a horrible defenseman. Braun is not a horrible defenseman just because they're old. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand.
Your prime, I would say, ends around when you're close to like 33, 34 years old. Right. That's when you're probably getting out of your prime.
Not everyone is going to be Jaromir Jagr or Gordie Howe.
Yeah,
they're not going to play till they're 50, 45. You know what I mean? It's. I don't understand why people think that they're like they're never able to lace up the skates again once they hit the age of 30.
Yeah. Then you also got the people that get better as they age. Look at Claude Giroux.
Exactly.
He's in his 30s right now.
And it's not like it's old hockey where, when guys are older, they're slower. These guys are fit. They're built to play this game for their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, remember when I said that people back in the 70s, old-time hockey, they would come into training camp out of shape?
Right.
People are coming into camp
smoking cigars and everything, and you do that now, you're screwed.
Yeah. Yeah, people are coming into training camp these days in shape, ready to go. Mm-hmm. You didn't see that that many years ago. These
Yeah.
people are coming here. They're ready to play. They want to get on the ice.
Yeah, and another thing about Winnipeg is, did you see Bufflin took a leave of absence?
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
I,
Do you know what that was for, or?
I don't think there was a specific reason, but it's most likely family related if he's taking a
Yeah,
leave of absence.
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think Bufflin is probably something to do with his personal life. So personal life is more important than the game. So I respect Dustin Bufflin's decision to
Oh, I
take a
do
leave of absence
100%.
because your life is more important than the game,
Right.
and that's just a fact.
Right. I mean,
And
they are human.
yes, they are human. And going back to we're talking about Claude Giroux and how he's getting better with age. Now he has a kid.
Right.
Do you think he's going to be even better now that he has something to go home to every day? Do you think he's going to bring that new dad strength to the ice?
Maybe. I could definitely see it. I mean, he has played good. Obviously, the last 2 seasons because one, he's had the line mates that have played good with him, Couturier and Konecny. They both have good offensive seasons, and plus, Giroux is on a position where he doesn't have to worry about getting back all the time.
Yeah. He really only has to focus offensively.
Right, and wingers aren't the best defensive players. I said that last episode too. Hence why Konecny and Voracek, they're both bad at defense because the wingers are just not good. Honestly, the wingers in the NHL, if you look at, I mean, some of them play so low, it's like they don't even cover the point.
Yeah, that's why wingers don't win the Selke Trophy.
Right.
That's why centers win it.
Right.
Why do you think Patrice Bergeron wins it like 5 years in a row?
Right, because he's the best 200-foot player.
Yeah.
He's a playmaker, and he can score goals. He's a playmaker. He's a two-way. He can do everything.
Yeah, you're not going to see a guy like Alex Ovechkin win the Selke Trophy. That's just not his game. His game is goal scoring.
He's a goal scorer. McDavid, playmaker. Crosby, playmaker. Two-way forward. Crosby can do everything. Right. They're all guys that are, and you can't have an argument of who's better, McDavid or Crosby, because McDavid, he's fast, he's a goal scorer, and he's a playmaker. Crosby, he's a two-way forward, and he's a playmaker. Oh, he can score goals, and he's got one of the best shots in the league, but you cannot compare them. You just can't.
You can't. And like I know people love to compare the Connor McDavids and the Sidney Crosbys, who's the best in the NHL. There's really no comparison because they're two different players.
Exactly. One plays for a good team, one plays for a bad team.
Sadly.
Yeah, I know. His career is going to be wasted in Edmonton.
I remember when he was drafted. I remember the look on his face. It was like, why am I here?
Same thing with when Fleury went to Vegas in the expansion draft.
I don't think Fleury minded going to Vegas. He went to the finals his first year, so I don't think he minds it at all.
I think that was before everyone was like, "Oh my God, Vegas is like actually a good team."
Yeah, it's just imagine when Seattle comes into the league, they're not going to be as good as Vegas. Vegas was lined up to be a good team,
right? And the way they did that, it was the draft picks that helped them.
Yeah,
they had all of those picks in the first round. They got Cody Glass, they got a couple different guys. They were a solid team. And another thing was they had guys that were like William Karlsson. He wasn't that good with Columbus. Goes to Vegas, puts up like 80 points.
Yeah, because he was given a chance to play on a top line.
Right. It's same thing that you said with Couturier. If he's given the line and given the line mates, and at the time who was Riley Smith, who was a solid player with Florida, and Marchessault.
Yeah, two players that Florida definitely regrets giving up.
Yeah.
But all it takes is give the guy a chance and he'll take advantage of it.
Right.
That's what Alain Vigneault right now is doing with the rookies. He's letting those guys get their chance and he's letting them take full advantage of it. Joel Farabee is giving those chances.
Isn't there.
Yeah. That's gonna if Konecny holds out. Oh God, I don't want to see the day.
Nope.
When he holds out to the regular season. I really hope he doesn't hold out till the regular season, but there's definitely going to be a ton of news going on this week because today there's been stated that there's no ongoing conversation between the two. Nothing is close. So maybe something will happen in the next few days, maybe something won't, but it's contract negotiations. Those things change every single day. You could be very close one day and then you'd be far apart the next. It's a very weird process.
It's
And
crazy.
I hope Konecny signs within the next week or so, but I don't see that happening. I just don't. And Chris, do you think Konecny's going to sign within the next week, or do you see him holding out?
I don't know. I mean, really, it depends on how they do it. Because if he signs, and if they give him a good deal, then like, and honestly, you have to go by the way the guys played at camp too, because some guys played where they can make this team. Some guys played, where they need some time. If Konechny, if they do it right, he should be able to sign. I really don't see him waiting out till the beginning of the year. I just don't. Why would you want to miss a preseason game? I mean, you already missed camp. Don't put yourself in more of a hole. You know what I mean? Like just sign, please. I can't see him missing preseason.
Yeah, I hope you're right 100% because I don't want to see this holdout, but it's most likely going to happen. But as we are getting down to the last few minutes here or so in the podcast, so to wrap it up, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow, Chris?
I see a Flyers win tomorrow night. How about you?
Who do you think stands out?
Shane Gostisbehere.
Gostisbehere, okay. I think the Flyers as well are going to win, but I think it's going to be a young guy that steps up. I think it's going to be Joel Farabee. That's going to stand out. Either him or Kevin Hayes. One of those two is going to stand out.
That is a good one. That is a good one.
Yeah. So, without further ado in this podcast, the Flyers are going to win tomorrow, hopefully. And as we wrap this up, don't forget to follow us on our social media pages, Flyers Flyered Up Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well. Don't forget to subscribe to our individual YouTube channels, mine TTP Sports and Chris's Flyers Fan Mania 93. And without further ado, we'll see you guys next week. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. Don't forget to download all that stuff. And yeah, Chris, how are you feeling after this podcast?
That was a good episode. I'm excited for the next one, and I'm excited for the preseason and tomorrow night's game.
Yes, me as well. Without further ado, thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll hope to see you in the next podcast.